If your parents hated you and were probably on the brink of a divorce, they would have given you Wii Sports as a baseball game. Now, if your parents loved you, you would have gone Mario Baseball, baby! You see this? DK hitting a damn homer with his fist, catching home runs in the goddamn air like a circus act, even throwing fireballs at people. This game was amazing, and I was lucky to own and play this game religiously as a kid, so that made me start questioning. Do people really 100% Mario Super Sluggers? If so, how hard can it be? So, with that in mind, I guess you can tell by the title, I decided to 100% Mario Super Sluggers. But before we start, what does 100%ing really mean in this game, and how do we do it? Well, to start off, we can immediately cross off most of the modes we see at the start of the game and push our main focus onto the story end of this. Here we have a good amount of things to do other than complete the story like normal. We have to gather every character from each field, beat Bowser a second time, and get every buddy badge. We also have one game mode we have to unlock from completing each minigame on Start difficulty. Either way, I'll try to explain what I'm doing and how I'm doing them while I go along, but for now, let's dig into the game of baseball. If you don't know the story of Mario Baseball, it's pretty simple. Mario and Luigi land on an island specifically made for baseball because I guess when you're third cousins with Batman, you can do that. Soon after we learn that Bowser and Bowser Jr. crashed to the island with their own boat field thing, forcing us to visit the different fields and build a team. For now, we end up heading towards Mario Stadium to get our first teammate of the game, Luigi. After that, it's really just running around, solving puzzles, and collecting captains who we're gonna need. To explain really quickly, for every field there are captains that all have their own specific powers. For example, Mario, who's the default captain, can go into pipes and call out items or people from bushes. Knowing this, my first move around every field we go to is to check around and see if there's anything I can collect. After that, I'll head towards any puzzles we need to do and complete that. The first puzzle we're confronted with is really easy. All we have to do is read the sand drawing and use a lever in the middle of the field. Real quick, almost every time we do a puzzle or any sort of important mission, we'll usually be stopped by one of Bowser's minions, and in order to defeat them, we have to beat these specific missions. Most aren't difficult or anything special, most are just throwing different pitches or getting a hit. Either way, after taking care of the Magic Koopa, we can lower this bridge, get baby Luigi, and face off against Bowser Jr., who will fight in every field. Once I take care of that, and the only way I know how, we quickly grab our second baby on the team and move out to our next area. From here, we really have free reigns to go wherever we want, so I headed toward DK's field first. The main reason I headed here first was, well, because Monkey, and there are a ton of heavy hitters that we don't have, so getting those will be a huge help. On the field itself, we have a couple of things to do, first being a battle against this super cool looking Dry Bones, talking to Dixie Kong who will tell us about pieces of a stone tablet hidden around the island. Grabbing it from behind the sign at the start of the field and returning to Dixie earns us our first DK teammate, and a chance to get ourselves a new captain. Donkey Kong is a tremendously easy battle, so grabbing him wasn't much of a challenge. Once we have him, I can finally move around his field a lot more, but for now, I'm going to focus on the main story before doing all the secrets. Going up to where the broken tablet is, we can climb down to a new area where we can save one of my favorite characters, Funky Kong. Beating the Hammer Bro that was hammering my bro gets us one of the greatest power hitters and a hint to the next tablet. Now, where exactly is this next piece? Well, I'll tell you, maybe right behind the character you just fucking saved 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I ended up walking around for so long until I finally found where it was, but getting that and the next piece, which is just behind this tree, inside a flower, completes this puzzle. Once we put every piece into the broken slab, I can face off against Bowser Jr. again. Let's see how this went. After I demolish that kid, making him run to the next field, we pick up Tiny Kong, which marks the end of our DK experience for the time being. The next area I chose, not for any particular reason, was Wario Stadium, which has one huge problem: fog. So it becomes our problem to get rid of it, but how? Well, we can start off by helping this Goomba fix this huge neon sign, which I did with such ease and artistic talent, as you can see by the gameplay on your screen. After repairing this sign, the fog clears up, marking our way to the next objective, and as well getting another teammate I won't be using. Walking deeper into the field, we can talk to a Koopa who points us in the direction of a lighthouse in order to clear up more of the fog. After running into another enemy and for some reason struggling to hit this damn ball, we let out a trapped ally who in return turns on the lighthouse, clearing up most of the leftover fog. We can use Donkey Kong to climb up this building's vine, which thinking back on it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but either way, we can talk to Wario who is stuck up here and get our third captain. To clear up the last area of the fog, which is covering the baseball field, we have two obstacles in our way: this Hammer Bro and a puzzle. The Hammer Bro wasn't so bad. The buddy move is actually super cool to do while playing with friends, but it's honestly kinda rare that I only ever see it during the story. The puzzle for the dynamo is also not horrible, but it isn't the best. You see, the movement for the magnet we have to move around is just absolutely horrendous sometimes and will not move unless you do so carefully. After getting that sweet ding of completion, we can move to doing the thing we do best, fight Bowser Jr. I actually didn't beat him by that much, but it was still a victory nonetheless. With that complete though, we can move on to the next field, being Yoshi Park. I only have the best things to say about this place. The music, the scenery, the interactions with the characters are just the absolute best. Every time I visit this place, it just feels like your childhood, and I feel like you could never take that away from it. For now though, we gotta get through it. So what's first? Well, to start off, we end up doing this fun little target practice minigame, which I struggled way more than I thought I would, but it was a decent amount of fun. After that, we can use Mario to go to a new area and face off against another Magic Koopa. This one was just as easy as everything else, so I'm gonna skip the details, but from this, we do earn our fourth captain, Yoshi. The main powers that Yoshi has is to ground pound trees that'll mostly have characters, but can also include money. And it also includes going through sewer pipes to pop out in new areas. After grabbing him, we can use the drain we just rescued Yoshi from to get to a new area and do a little cool quiz in order to realign the tracks for Wiggler. Wiggler's actually a really cool character and can hit bombs if you're good enough, but for now, he's not going to be a regular. Once we have that done, the gate opens back up to the main area where we can use our new powers again after fighting another colored Magic Koopa. I don't know how many there are, but good god, they just cover every damn nook and cranny in this whole field. Next, we can use the drain to go to the final area where we can face off against Bowser Jr. in a very different way, a minigame. This minigame isn't really that bad, but in fact, I tried 100% this game around a year ago and failed so miserably at not only this minigame, but overall 100%ing it. After a quick flashback from my past, I can finish off this minigame, collect Birdo as a teammate, and move to the final place. Peach's field is also super nice and actually a lot bigger than what some of the fields actually feel like when you compare them, but either way, it's not too hard to do everything here. When we enter, we're immediately talked to by Toad, who then instructs us to talk to Toadette, where I did a pretty nice matching puzzle that gave me flashbacks to playing Wind Waker. Once we have that cleared, I move forward through the little maze I just did and get stopped by another Dry Bones. To beat him, we had to do another buddy move that would sometimes completely miss the ball whenever I tried to do it. Once we do that 3 times though, we can see the old Toad was marooned on this square plate that needs a heavy object to keep it there, so I headed back to the other Toad to grab the statue. Turns out another Hammer Bro was pressing my bro again, but this time was more or less a breeze to get finished. Once we somehow grab the statue and store it in our magical pockets, we can place it in turn of old Toad, who's actually an amazing pitcher, so having him come onto our team is a wonderful thing. Now, the last thing to do is fight off against Bowser Jr., but I think you guys know how this went. I swear I didn't let him win. For real though, that 2-point advantage is insane, and pairing that up with their bullshit hits is even worse, but just getting them out as fast as you can is going to be the key for this part. After beating him by 1 point, we can officially say that the story end of this game is mostly done. With all the parks cleared of enemies and the last Captain Peach collected, we can now run around and get the rest of the characters. The team that I use is already collected, but for the sake of completing this challenge and enjoying having every character, let's try to do this quick. I'll start off in DKs just to go at it from the route we came from, so where do we start? Well, by going off into the new area, we can encounter several of the same enemies, Critter. They're all just different colors, but each one have challenges we need to do. Green having the challenge to hit to the left side of the field, blue hitting the sweet spot, red getting a double play, and for the brown critter, we have to stop him from scoring. After that, we can see King K. Rool appear behind a waterfall after defeating each one, as well as opening a chest for a shop we'll need towards the end of the game. Going against King K. Rool, we do have to get a home run, so using someone like Donkey Kong or Funky Kong can make this challenge a hell of a lot easier. Once we get that sweet home run, we collect our rewards, unlocking every color of critter and adding King K. Rool to our team. For the last character we need, we have to use Yoshi after entering this tunnel and climbing down to the specific tree where we'll find Baby DK. I think you can understand that this game isn't all too hard for now, so I'm just gonna let you assume that I got this and every other character after completing a mission. With that said, with Baby DK on our team, we can now mark this field as done and our Donkey Kong team fully complete. The next stadium I'll do is Wario's area, where we can head back to these shipping containers to get Boo. All I had to do was use Wario's magnet to move back one of the containers to encounter him and beat him in another scout mission. After that, I can line the containers to get a walkway towards the back of the area showing a pipe Yoshi can use. Using the pipe, we can fight off against another character, Waluigi, and open another chest getting the Pow Ball, which is an air item. One thing to note, there aren't that many air items hidden in every field. This is 1 out of 3, so as I go on, I'll mention how and where to get them. Once we have those two in my inventory, I can head back down near the city where I can use Yoshi again to ground pound one of the trees and encounter Paragoomba. Along the path to get Paragoomba, we can also stop by and talk to another Koopa in need of a brush he lent to Yoshi in Yoshi Park. I'll mention how I got that in just a sec, but for now, mark him and this sign a part of our team. Once we have those two, the second to last character we need is actually hidden in a really cool area near the park. Using Peach to lure him out of this wanted sign, we can face off and add him to the list. The last character is King Boo, who does have some requirements. Other Boos. The first one is already one we have, but the other one is a bit weirder since it's not actually a character in the game, but an air item. I'll let you know when we get to that as well, but for now, we can take him and his legion of Boos along with us. Getting him, we can now mark Wario's team as well as the field itself complete. Next is Yoshi's Park, which has a huge theme for its characters: hiding. Almost every single character we need to grab is just hidden in trees and in other areas. The first one I'll go after is Pink Yoshi, who we can find hidden up in a tree next to the red Yoshi. I do want to mention the amount of trouble I had with the scout mission since I failed it so many times, and I want to say that even with my experiences outside of this one, I still had trouble. With that done though, that's really the hardest part behind this, at least in the case of these missions, since we still have the minigames to complete. The next characters we can get are at the area where we fought Bowser Jr., unlocking this mustard colored Yoshi and 2 Shy Guys. The last one is where we can find one of the items we need, the brush. To get to the brush, we just have to jump into this pipe that opened up after the Bowser Jr. fight, facing off against the final Shy Guy and unlocking the chest with the brush. Running back to where the red Yoshi is and talking to him not only unlocks the shop for the area, but also gets us the last character of this area. I just want to mention as well that once you do have the brush in your inventory, you can take it to the Koopa I mentioned in Wario Stadium and use that to get him too. Getting that done, we can return to Peach's Stadium where, in hindsight, is probably where I should have started all this, which I do apologize for. By using Mario's ability near the maze we went through, we can unlock the purple and green toad to our team. In the same area, using Peach's ability on this pot, we can also get Petey Piranha, who is an absolute beast in this game as well. Going a bit further, we can also rescue Daisy from the same thing we did Toadsworth by going back and getting the statue from the toad-shaped bushes. While I was in the area as well, I was able to pick up Baby Peach since she was also hiding inside the bushes herself. Once we go back and pick up Daisy, I can head back to the maze area where we'll encounter a blue toad who'll guard a Yoshi plate we need to go into. Having Peach earns us the requirement to get him on our team and lets us cross into the area where we can find Baby Daisy. After talking to her, we find out we need to pick up an item she drops somewhere in the field, but before heading there, we can stop by the mushrooms here and get the last toad we need. The location of the item is super easy to find, just head towards the middle of the field where the fountain is and search the water using Wario since he can use his magnet to fish it out. Going back to Baby Daisy and handing her bat, we not only grab our last character for the Peach Monarchs, but get the second to last air item from the chest. The last place we can go to is Mario Stadium, and I saved it for last for a certain reason. It's easy. Going in, I can unlock the shop using the key I got way back in the beginning of the video, but just never used. Once we get our first Pianta, using Yoshi we can get another Pianta from the shaking tree on the beach. After that, getting Peach to call out this weird sand figure pops out Monty the Mole, who I don't know why, but for some reason loves so much. We can continue to use Peach to head to the docks, where using her call can attract Blooper. Again, how do any of these characters play fucking baseball? While I'm still there though, I use Mario to head into the pipe, where we can get a very important item after facing off against the Dry Bones. Here we can open the chest to reveal the Boo Error item, marking the last requirement for King Boo and unlocking the Error item badge. The last character we need can be found on the left side of the island, and by using the power of our Holy DK, we can crack open this barrel and turn over our new and final teammate. And with all that collected, we now have every character in Mario Super Sluggers. We earn a badge with this as well, so in total, we have 2 out of the 5 total badges we need. Don't worry, it kind of picks up after this since all we have left is the final fight and a bunch of minigames to explore. I'll quickly start on ending off the game since we do have a lot of games to go through for a very specific reason. The first game is against Bowser Jr., and I'll be honest with you guys, this has to be the hardest game ever. It's just a bit difficult, but I didn't say impossible. Funny enough, after beating Bowser Jr., you're really meant to explore and get characters right after that, but since I like to do it first, it really just lets us skip to the final fight. Bowser can be super intimidating to fight, especially if you got your ass handed to you as a kid and cried the whole night. What I can recommend is a couple of things. First, don't do what I do and not use the star hits and pitches since that can carry most of your strikeouts and hits. Another thing you can use are the perks that you can buy outside of the match before you start. which can help with hitting, running, pitching, and just about everything. I never personally used that because I'm a very hard veteran and I've played this game a lot. The last thing I can sort of tell you is to basically try to get as many hits on Bowser early on, since getting him tired can swap him out and his bullshit pitches out fast. After that, the Magic Koopas and Bowser Jr. aren't super difficult to hit against unless you're trying to hit off of Bowser Jr.'s star pitch. It's absolute bullshit. As I end off the fight against Bowser with a magical score of 16-0, we can strike off the first ending of the game complete. Some of you might be wondering why I said first ending. Well, if you didn't know, beating this game a second time actually has another ending to show after you beat Bowser. It's really nice, and honestly I wish I could show you it, but my Wii decided that it'll just freeze in the middle of it. Beating the game a second time is the last of our worries though, because it's not actually the last time we have to fight Bowser. In fact, we have to fight him around 4 to 5 times. You see, after the fight with Bowser, you'll be put into a screen that congratulates you on getting a star character. It'll only show the characters you played with, because any character you face off against Bowser with and win becomes a star player. So it then becomes our challenge to fight him with every character in the game. Now, if you're good like me, you could easily just fill up your team with all the players who aren't a star and just try to win like that. It's pretty much what I did, and it took a good while, especially with the secret cutscene freezing every time I won. Getting all those star players in the end rewards us with the third badge of the game, the star badge. There isn't much else to that sadly, and honestly I kind of wish there was more of a reward for completing something like that, and kind of everything we've done so far. It's sad to see such an amazing game be held back by its time, and only makes it worse to think that in the years after this we still might not get anything like it. For now though, all I can do is try to beat the rest of the game and finish off one of the best games of my childhood. The next thing I did was head over to Peach and Mario's field to purchase a cruise pass and flashlight in order to unlock the last 2 fields I was missing. Once those are bought and we switch to nighttime, we get our stadium badge to fill 4 out of our 5 badges, as well as unlock every minigame. I need to mention something I never really talked about because I didn't think it was super necessary up until this point. A cool little system that this game includes is the ability to switch from day to nighttime around the whole field. Not only are you able to play on all the fields during the night, but does unlock the ability to do most minigames that aren't available during the day. The first one I'll start on is Mario's minigame, since it's easily my favorite and was one I struggled on the least. It's a simple minigame, as all you do is wait and see what the slot machine rolls around, which indicates what type of pitch it's going to be and where it wants you to hit it. Once it comes at you, just hit it inside the field and you get points. But of course, if the bomb does go outside, it won't count for anything. I could easily see myself playing this minigame a ton as a kid. It was simple, easy, and fun, and I really enjoy that. The thing that I struggled on the most was getting used to the pitch speed of every single type, since the normal one was a lot slower than I was expecting. The fast pitch was the same deal, but I figured that just swinging before you could think was the way to go at it, and it worked great for me. Other than that, it's really just getting as many hits as you can and just focusing on those pitches, especially if they throw you a king bomb, since it gives you the most amount of points. With all that, getting to the start difficulty wasn't all too difficult, especially when you compare it to some other minigames that will be coming up. Another easy one is Peach's minigame, as all you have to do is try to calculate your power and throw exactly where the pink wall is at. The pink wall was my absolute main focus, since not only is it the one that gives you all the points, but was sometimes the easiest one to hit. Compared to most minigames, there isn't any luck factor or strange mechanic that enemies can use to beat you, so I do like this one a ton and would put it up on my list of favorites. Once I finished the star difficulty for Peach's minigame, it was really downhill from there. The first bullshit minigame was Luigi's Mansion, which still to this day is arguably one of the worst when it comes to competing with AI. The first 1 or 2 difficulties was alright, posing a challenge here and there, and was used mainly to get the rust off my controller, but after that, it spewed into pure chaos. Since I didn't really explain what this minigame's about, let me explain it really quickly. All it is throwing pitches at ghosts using the directional pad to point out which ghost you want to hit. Hitting the corresponding colored ghost gets you more points, but in general, you want to hit as many as you can. Another thing is that sometimes you can get power-ups from hitting ghosts in the middle and get a bunch of points from a specific ghost that you can continuously throw at. Now, the early difficulties were, oh, there's my ghost, let me throw at it. But the star difficulty is just trying to pre-order your hits before the rest of the fucking fire squad hits first. Like I said, it's just pure chaos, and how I beat this, I don't really know, but after pulling through, I was glad to have it over and move on to the next game. Okay, Bowser's Pinball isn't a bullshit minigame. I just have to state that before I start talking about it, because if you really do get used to it and learn what stuff does, it's a chill minigame to play if you want that. Of course, I had to use Bowser on this one since it corresponds with him, but for Peach, it was mainly because she has the ability to throw quicker than most characters. As for the minigame part of Bowser's Pinball, there's really nothing hard about it, just hit the ball over and over until you get enough points. It's really all I did. I wish I can get more into the logistics or details of the whole thing, but sometimes simple's enough. As for the next one, it can't get any more simple than running around, dodging tentacles, and getting treasure, which counts as points. Of course, there are also power-ups like the star, which gives you invincibility, and I put them in quotes because I want to set something straight, right? Invincibility means you can't get hurt, and of course everybody knows, but as soon as you get this damn power-up and run into the blooper's tentacles, it fucking hurts you. For what reason would you say invincible if it doesn't mean that? I know I'm arguing with the air right now since most of the developers of this game are probably over 50 and in their retirement homes laughing at me. It bugged me the whole time I was playing this game mode, but I will say it didn't really spoil it that bad since my gameplay did that anyways. I actually had a good amount of trouble here, nothing compared to some others, but for some odd reason this minigame just did not resonate with my skills at all. And yes, that is an excuse for being bad. In all seriousness, I feel like this is one of those minigames that some are better at than others, and I definitely would fall on the short end of that stick. Talking about falling on sticks, I do think that something like this would totally make a fun game mode to play with friends, especially on a late night that you can spend screaming at each other and wishing death onto your friends. At the end of the day, it's fun, and that's really all that matters. So, after finally completing the final difficulty for it and getting the final stadium of the game, we can collect the stadium badge, marking us with 4 out of the 5 badges in the game. Now, all we have left is the path to hell. Bowser Jr.'s minigame is what I would label as purgatory, and for good reason. It's impossible. Now, I'm not going to tell you I lost and just gave up on it. I did actually complete it eventually, but God was it painful. The whole thing is opening chests, which is total luck by the way, and trying to gain ownership of a brush to fill the canvas below you. While that's going on, other players can open the other chests to get power-ups like the star, mushroom, and a chain chomp. The chain chomp isn't so bad, right? But the star and mushroom is complete bullshit and I hate it. Let me explain why. So starting off with the mushroom, anytime I would grab and use a power-up, it failed at doing anything useful. I'd jump around, try to stomp on other players, and even try to get the brush. Tell me why that each time I got even remotely close to the person with a brush, I somehow got stomped on and left to eat shit. Or let's look at the fact every time I jumped, the AI somehow predicted each time I was, and would jump at the perfect time to not get affected by it. I said it once, I'll say it twice. Bullshit. Now, the star isn't bad. It does make you invincible for the most part, right? But each time I used it on a character with the brush, instead of landing down softly on the ground in front of me, making me the owner of the brush, it would fly across the goddamn map into someone else's hands. Like, what am I supposed to do when it just loves everyone but me? Really, my biggest problem with this one is the other players. I don't understand how to actually fight against these perfect machines. Hell, that's why I ignored doing the hardest difficulty of every minigame. If there's any minigame I would delete from this game, it would be this one. Real easy decision on my part. After one really good start and a lucky game, I was finally able to get past the hardest minigame of them all. For a quick side note, this next area is not actually a field minigame, but just a normal area you can go to that is required to get the play badge, so beating it on start difficulty is not necessary. I will say though that if I actually had to beat this one, I'd probably die from anger. I did not understand this game and it's kind of just pure luck for the most part. Unless your batting skills is the skill level of Barry Bonds, it's going to be super difficult, but like I said, we don't necessarily have to beat it, but I did so anyways. Not on purpose, but I still did it. Wario's minigame is actually pretty funny and I do like the theming and direction they took with it compared to the rest. For this minigame, we have to use our fielding skills to run around and catch all the gems that are shot out of this cannon, but we do have to do that while getting shot at with air items from the side. It's not so much as it being hard, but more or less comes from messing up and losing a ton of points. At the end of the day, it really relied on me being on my A game and trying to go for a perfect score towards the end, which was already tough as it is. The beginning is super easy and I'd say it can mainly be used as a practice to learn how to dodge and move around a bunch of the different air items. Going back to the points in this game, there was one time that actually made me question this whole game since not only did I catch every gem that was thrown at me, but still failed since I didn't meet the point requirement. How the hell is that my fault? I guess it's sort of a luck thing since there are certain gems that can give out a ton of more points, like the Buddy Catch gem that is so hard since the camera angle never shows where that damn gem is at. All in all, I don't mind this one, but considering that I'm doing the harder difficulties, of course I'm going to have trouble for all these in some way. So after catching my final gem and just barely passing the point threshold, I can knock off a good portion of minigames, leaving the last two, DK and Yoshi. I'll first tackle DK's minigame where a majority of my time went to. And why? Well, you already know what I want to say. It's bullshit. Okay, I get that I say that for a lot of these, but no, this is actually a horrible way to style a minigame in my opinion. I like the idea and I like it a lot, don't get me wrong, but the way it was executed is so inaccurate it hurts. The premise of the minigame is to hit baseballs into the corresponding lanes that these barrels will drop into, blue being a fast barrel and gold just having more points. Now, if the wall that is surrounding the front of your character is hit by too many barrels, it'll break down, leaving you open and eventually making you lose. This all sounds fine and dandy, but it really is bad once you boil it down to the mechanics, the hitting mechanics. You see, not only do you have to pitch the ball to yourself, but you also have to figure out the timing at which to hit the ball itself to hit them into whatever lane you want it in. This is the worst way I feel like you can make this minigame work, especially since hitting is already as hard as it is, while some of the lanes are just too much to work with. I might be complaining about this too much, but I had maxed out coins starting on this minigame which all went to waste since I just couldn't beat it the first time around. I had to run back to Mario's minigame and beat the easiest level multiple times just to earn my coins back. Luckily for me, I want to say the first game back, I was finally able to beat it once for all. I think what took a majority of my time was just getting coins, so I can only recommend practicing on the early difficulty before heading forward. Another key thing I learned was of course not only the timing, but instead a neat little trick that I'm sure the game implemented itself. One thing I left out about this minigame were the bombs, which are arguably one of the most important part to beating it all. Hitting any of the bombs that spawn in will actually not only blow up the barrels in its lane, but every lane, and give you a bunch of bonus points. This was the key I was for sure missing, so if I wasn't the most accurate for every pitch, I only had to be accurate for one. Then came into putting all that to practice. So I would wait for a bunch of barrels to spawn in, getting closer and closer, then hitting the bomb would just wipe them all away. I completely recommend this technique, in fact, I'm sure it's what you're supposed to do, so hopefully you pick it up a lot faster than I did. With that done comes the last and final minigame, Yoshi's Park. I've actually already did this minigame once in the beginning of the video, whenever we were walking around and doing the story mode. I probably didn't explain what it was, so let me explain it quickly. Every character is stuck to a certain lane with a piranha plant that will motion to a certain direction, so using your directional pad and whatever the pitching button is will send the plant backwards while giving you points. You can also use your star move in this game, which can only be thrown straight but will hit anyways. I have to say, at this point I probably should have saved a harder minigame for last because this one was actually a breeze for the most part. The only reason I failed a few times was because I didn't read the controls, so I never really learned how to throw the damn special pitch right and would just struggle whenever I got it. But after finally taking a look at the controls, I was able to get the final minigame down, celebrating my sweet release from these minigames as well getting the final badge of the game itself. Getting all the star difficulties also meant unlocking the final mode of the game, Minigame Madness. But before I officially end this happy journey, we're not quite done since there's one final thing I left undone. Going over to Daisy's cruiser during the nighttime, we can use our secret pass to use at an item shop that sells all these power-ups. I didn't realize it, but I was actually missing some of them, so after a quick Google search and buying up the whole shop, I can unlock each item by going in and out of the shop. With those bought though, that is officially how I 100%ed in Mario Super Sluggers for the Wii. With this game being so close to me after a whole decade, I have to salute to how well this game took care of me over the years from being a kid to a phony adult. It's amazing to see how long our childhood can cling on to us without us even noticing. Even though I might not sound like it, I'm super happy to have all this done. It's a goal that I never really knew that I wanted to set for this game, but having it done just makes it feel all that much better. All I can say is that I love this game, so having people recognize the journey along the way or not, it won't take away what I've done with this game. So with that, I'll say my goodbye to 100%ing this game and wish any of you guys luck on doing the same. With that, I'll see you guys later. Peace!